Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good day. So, my lesson today uh, is the first lesson in the unit about World War One. So, specifically, the first lesson in this unit is about the initial causes of World War One, which is most accurately taught using the acronym MAIN, which stands for Militarism, Alliances, Imperialism, and Nationalism. Some people like to use mania, and they add an assassination on the end, and you could do that too. Um, so I would start off my lesson by asking students, what they already know about World War One, trying to gauge any previous knowledge that they may have on the subject, and then basically I would kind of jump in to the lesson using a PowerPoint, and students would be filling in a graphic organizer while the PowerPoint is being presented. So I would start off with the causes of militarism. So in the late 19th century, there were lots of European powers who were competing for influences in different areas of the world, including Africa as well as parts of Asia. And a lot of these countries started to develop new weapons, improve their fighting forces, because there was so much competition going on, which is involved in imperialism, which I'll get to. And so a lot of these countries became engaged in arm race, where they were trying to build up their militaries and make them as strong as possible. So by the time that World War One starts, right, there's already this competition going on between countries about who is kind of the strongest and the most powerful in terms of military power. So then moving on to alliances, okay. So with alliances, right, in the late 19th century, you had lots of countries coming into secret agreements with each other. So, for instance, the powers that made up the Allied powers in World War One originally was France, Russia, and Great Britain. Right? In response to that alliance, right, you had Germany making alliances with Austria-Hungary and Italy. So there's all these secret agreements, right? So when World War One breaks out and fighting begins, for instance, with the Schlieffen Plan, where the Germans want to attack France and they go through neutral Belgium. When they attacked neutral Belgium, they didn't know that there was an alliance between Great Britain and Belgium, which brought Great Britain into the war. So the alliances kind of just made it so that when one power attacked the other, there would always be another nation coming to the aid of another nation, right? Because they were constantly jockeying for power, right? So your main alliances, right? The Triple Entente with France, Russia, Great Britain, and then you had the Central Powers, which were made up of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. Then, moving on, right? Imperialism, right? So imperialism is when a country expands its influence and power into a large empire, right? So the whole point is kind of for the motherland, the mother country, to go out and colonize another nation so they can use the resources found at that nation and to benefit their own country. So in the late 19th century, you had lots of imperialism going on, especially the scramble for Africa, which ended when World War One ended. So this was a sign of, the increasing competition and jockeying for power between these European nations, right? And then last but not least in the main causes is nationalism. So nationalism is a feeling of great pride within your nation, okay? specifically when we talk about nationalism in World War I as a contributing factor to its starting, we like to focus upon Serbian nationalism. So Serbia was a kingdom within the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And these Serbians, a Serbia located in the Balkans, they were not happy with them being controlled by the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And they believed that their country should make decisions for themselves, right? Which in turn led to the actual event that kicked off fighting, which was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. He was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist named Gavrilo Princip, and this was the sign of Serbian nationalism, right? Gavrilo Princip went out and assassinated the Archduke in Sarajevo in current-day Bosnia, and he did this because he thought that if he could assassinate the leader of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, then Serbia may be in more of a position to exert itself and its dominance. So while I'm going over this, right, there would be a PowerPoint to accompany it, filled with text, pictures, videos, right, trying to differentiate it so I can hit all the students' various learning profiles, because, students learn best in different ways. And they would be filling in, or students would be filling in a graphic organizer detailing the definitions of militarism, alliances, imperialism, nationalism, and explaining and writing down the more intricate details associated with World War I, the actual alliances that were created, the Triple Entente with France, Britain, and Russia. And then the Central Powers, with Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, and Italy for a little while until they switched sides in 1915, right? So after you have the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which was organized by the Serbian government, right? Austria-Hungary issues a number of harsh demands on Serbia, threatened to invade Serbia if they did not comply with their demands. And Serbia, of course, did not comply with their demands, and Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, okay? But when Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, right, with the alliances that we spoke about, Serbia was in a secret alliance with Russia, right? So Russia immediately began to mobilize its troops and prepare for war, since Serbia had been attacked and invaded by Austria-Hungary because Serbia did not follow through on Austria-Hungary's demands after assassinating the Archduke, right? But in response, Austria-Hungary's close ally Germany declared war on Russia. And then a few days later, Germany declared war on France and invaded Belgium, and then Britain declared war on Germany because they had a secret alliance with Belgium, right? So while this is all going on, right, students are writing down this information, they're filling in the graphic organizer, which will have some prompts to direct them to what information they need to include in each section of the graphic organizer. The next part of the class, I would break the class up into groups of 2, and they would be given a short article about the different sides of World War I and how those came to be through the various alliances created secretly. And so in those groups of 2, students would read the document, they would analyze the document, and they would be able to list the combatants that comprise the Allied powers and the Central Powers. So initially, right, students are going to leave out America, because initially America was not part of the Triple Entente, they were not part of the Allied powers. The next class period, would be focused on the specific reasons and causes of American entry into World War I. So this is kind of the whole basis of this first lesson, getting students accustomed to why World War I started in the first place, using an acronym that will help them recall these causes a little bit easier. And then, figuring out who comprised each side and how the war started. And then, moving on and focusing on America, the next lesson would be about the specific causes that caused America's entry into World War I, specifically being unrestricted submarine warfare, the sinking of the Lusitania, the Zimmermann telegram between Germany and Mexico, things of that nature, So you're kind of building from the initial outbreak of World War I, which was really confined to European powers, and then moving on to how our country, became involved in the war. So as the lessons go on, it starts to include more of the nationalistic mindset of Americans and why we would join a war that had started in 1914 and join it in 1917. So this is really the basis of my lesson. I hope everyone was able to understand the different concepts and how I would kind of lay this out. And yeah, so I hope everyone has a great day, and